Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, Treasure Seekers and Coin Lovers. If you're someone who loves the thrill of discovering hidden value in everyday things, then you're going to love today's video. We're taking a closer look at one of the most iconic and widely recognized coins in the United States, the Washington Quarter Dollar. But not just any quarter, we're zooming in on a coin from the year 1979. At first glance, it might seem like just another ordinary coin that's passed through countless hands, maybe even one you used at a vending machine or got back as change from the grocery store. But here's the kicker: some of these 1979 Washington quarters are anything but ordinary. They hold secrets, unique features, and in rare cases, serious value. So sit tight, because this humble piece of pocket change might just be worth far more than you'd ever expect. Let's begin with a bit of backstory. The Washington Quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It was never intended to be a permanent design, but it was so popular, it stuck around. Fast forward to 1979, and the quarter still featured the familiar bust of George Washington on the front, with the bold word "Liberty" above and the date of minting just below. On the reverse, you'll find a majestic eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, wings spread, symbolizing strength and readiness. It's a powerful, timeless design, and one that Americans have carried in their pockets for decades, but the beauty of coin collecting lies in the details. You see, not every 1979 quarter is created equal. Some of them have minor errors or unusual features that make them incredibly rare, and that's where the magic begins. Coins with misstrikes, double dies, off-center prints, or even slight variations in the minting process can become prized possessions for collectors. And what about the mint marks? That tiny letter beneath the wreath on the coin's reverse tells you where the coin was minted: Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Most 1979 quarters were produced at high volume and are still pretty common today. But a small number of them were minted with defects or anomalies that are now turning heads in the numismatic world. These oddities often go unnoticed by the average person, but expert collectors know exactly what to look for. Let's talk specifics. One of the most talked about varieties is the so-called off-center strike, where the design is visibly misaligned. Another is the double die, where certain parts of the coin, like the letters or numbers, appear doubled or shadowed, as if the coin was struck twice. These aren't just imperfections, they're rare traits that increase a coin's uniqueness and, as a result, its value. Condition is also critical. A 1979 Washington quarter that's been heavily circulated may only be worth its face value. But a coin in mint state, untouched, clean, with sharp details and no signs of wear, can be worth many times more. Add a rare error into the mix, and you've got a coin that collectors will pay top dollar for. Now, here's a little tip for anyone who wants to hunt for one of these rare coins. Get yourself a good magnifying glass and carefully inspect every 1979 quarter you come across. Look closely at the edges, the lettering, the details on Washington's hair and the eagle's wings. Are the lines crisp? Is anything misaligned or doubled? These tiny clues could point to something special hiding in plain sight. Many collectors and coin hunters have found valuable coins in the most unexpected places, tucked in an old drawer, handed out in change, or buried in a childhood piggy bank. It's not just about the money, it's about the story, the history, and the excitement of discovering something rare. And who knows? You might just stumble upon a treasure of your own. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for. Among these rare varieties of the 1979 Washington quarter, there's one particular version, flawless in condition, marked by a unique mint error, that has shocked collectors around the world. In a rare instance, this exact coin was appraised and sold for an astounding value of $86,000. Yes, you heard that right, $86,000 for a single quarter. So the next time you're sorting through your spare change or digging through an old coin jar, don't be so quick to pass over those older coins. That 1979 quarter might be more than just 25 cents, it could be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Today, we're diving into a piece of American currency that might be sitting quietly in your pocket, piggy bank, or an old coin jar at home, the Washington quarter dollar from the year 1982. At first glance, it might just seem like another ordinary quarter, tossed aside or used to buy a soda. But what if I told you that certain versions of this coin could be worth far more than 25 cents? In fact, one specific 1982 Washington quarter has been valued so highly that it left collectors stunned. Keep watching, because by the end of this video, you'll learn why this coin is so special, what rare traits to look for, and how one quarter from this very year became worth a staggering sum of money. Let's rewind to the early 1980s. It was a turbulent time economically in the United States. The country was grappling with inflation, high interest rates, and rising production costs. In response, the U.S. Mint began making changes to how coins were produced, and that's exactly where our story starts to get interesting. You see, the Washington quarter has been around since 1932. It was originally minted to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first President of the United States. The design features a striking profile of Washington on the obverse, facing left, with the word "Liberty" above, the motto, "In God We Trust," to the left, and the date just below. On the reverse side, there's the powerful image of an eagle with wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows, surrounded by olive branches. But in 1982, something happened that set these coins apart from many others. That year, due to budget cuts and rising production costs, the U.S. Mint made a decision that would go on to affect coin collectors for decades to come. They stopped producing uncirculated mint sets for the general public. This meant that collectors had fewer ways to get pristine coins directly from the mint, and as a result, high-quality coins from this year became much harder to come by. On top of that, the coins struck in 1982 were the first quarters made using a reduced copper content. They were struck on copper-nickel-clad planchets, replacing the original 90% silver composition used in older coins. This shift resulted in some production quirks, such as weaker strikes and inconsistent details. And that's where things start getting really exciting for collectors. Some 1982 quarters have noticeable minting errors. We're talking about off-center strikes, doubled dies, and perhaps most notably, coins with missing mint marks. Now, for those new to coin collecting, the mint mark is a small letter stamped on the coin that indicates where it was made. P stands for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco. But occasionally, something goes wrong in the minting process, and that letter simply isn't there. These no mint mark coins are rare and valuable. Another major factor in a coin's worth is its grade, which refers to the condition of the coin. Has it been circulated and worn down, or has it been preserved in pristine, near-perfect state? Coins graded by professionals as mint state, especially those with a grade of MS 65 or higher, are extremely desirable. Combine that kind of quality with a minting error or a unique feature, and now you're talking about a coin worth a serious amount of money. So what exactly should you be looking for in your 1982 Washington quarter? Start by checking for the mint mark. If it's missing, you may have stumbled on something rare. Look for sharp details in Washington's hair, clear lettering, and no signs of heavy wear. If the eagle's feathers are crisp and the edges are clean, you might be holding a high-grade coin. And if there's anything unusual, like doubled letters, off-center design, or an oddly shiny surface, it's definitely worth a second look. Here's a pro tip: don't assume your pocket change is worthless. Every year, people discover valuable coins in the most unexpected places. Some find treasures in rolls of coins from the bank. Others inherit coin collections and only later realize what they've got. It pays to be curious, and just a little bit lucky. Now, let's get to the part that everyone's been waiting for. Among the rarest and most valuable 1982 Washington quarters is a particular specimen that was found in exceptional condition and featured an extremely rare minting error. This coin didn't just fetch a nice price. It made headlines in the numismatic world. That single coin, one Washington quarter from 1982, was eventually appraised and sold for the jaw-dropping amount of $77,000. Yes, you heard that right. $77,000. For one quarter. Just imagine finding something like that in a coin jar or between the cushions of your couch. So what's the takeaway here? Never underestimate the value of the change in your pocket. Coins like the 1982 Washington quarter might seem common, but under the right conditions, with the right era, the right preservation, and the right collector, they can become incredibly valuable. Today, we're diving into a coin that may look ordinary, but in the right condition and with the right features, could be worth more than most people make in a year. We're talking about the 1973 Washington quarter. That's right, one single quarter from 1973 might just be hiding a secret that collectors would pay an unbelievable amount of money for. Let's set the stage. The year is 1973. America was in the middle of major cultural and political shifts. Vietnam was winding down, Watergate was dominating the news, and disco was just beginning to take over the dance floors. But while the world was watching headlines and listening to vinyl records, the United States Mint was quietly producing millions of quarters that would go on to circulate in everyday life, buying candy bars, feeding parking meters, or dropped into pinball machines, and yet, hidden among those millions of coins were a few rare gems, coins that would survive the test of time and become sought after by collectors decades later. The Washington quarter, originally introduced in 1932, was created to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design has become iconic. On the front, we see the left-facing bust of Washington, with the word Liberty above, and In God We Trust to the left. The date sits just below his profile. Flip it over, and there's a bold, powerful eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing America's strength, surrounded by olive branches, representing peace. It's a design that combines elegance with patriotism, and for nearly 70 years, it remained unchanged. But as collectors know, not all coins are created equal, even when they carry the same design. What makes the 1973 Washington quarter so interesting isn't just its design or the time period in which it was minted. It's the fact that under the surface, some of these coins contain rare errors, unique characteristics, or were produced in mint conditions that are now nearly impossible to find. These features can take a coin from being worth 25 cents, to being worth thousands, or more. So what should you look for? Start with the basics. 1973 quarters were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. That's why you might see a little P, D, or S on the coin. But here's where it gets exciting. Some quarters from this year are missing that mint mark entirely. Others may show doubling in the text, especially in God We Trust, or the date. This is known as a double die error. There are also examples with off-center strikes, where part of the design is visibly shifted or missing. These minting mistakes are rare, and they can make a world of difference in value, but that's not all. The condition of the coin is a major factor. A 1973 quarter that has been heavily circulated, scratched, worn, and tarnished, won't hold much value. But one that has been perfectly preserved, untouched, and shows no signs of wear? That's a whole different story. Collectors prize what's known as mint state coins, especially those graded MS-65 or higher. These coins have clean, sharp details, full rims, and a flawless finish. Combine that level of preservation with a rare minting error or unique trait, and you've got something truly special in your hands. Let me give you a quick tip. If you come across a 1973 quarter, take a close look at the details. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. Look at Washington's hair. Can you see the fine strands? Are the letters bold and crisp? Is the edge of the coin fully struck and smooth? These little signs can tell you if you're looking at a common coin or a hidden gem. Believe it or not, people have found rare and valuable coins in the most unexpected places, hidden in old coin collections, tucked away in jars, passed down from grandparents, or mixed in with change from the corner store. It really is like finding buried treasure in your own home. And now, let's get to the part you've been waiting for. Among all the 1973 Washington quarters, there is one version, extremely rare, struck with a unique mint error and found in an exceptional state of preservation, that was eventually evaluated by experts, preserved, and sold in a private auction for a jaw-dropping total. That single 1973 quarter was sold for an astonishing $85,000. That's right, $85,000. For one quarter. A coin most people would overlook or spend without a second thought. So what does that tell us? It tells us that the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. It reminds us that value can hide in plain sight. And it proves that sometimes, even the most ordinary-looking items can be worth a small fortune, if you know what to look for. Today, we're zeroing in on a coin you've probably seen more than a few times, but trust me, after this video, you'll never look at it the same way again. We're talking about the United States Washington quarter dollar from 1981. Now, before you dismiss it as just another coin in your drawer or car console, let's explore why this particular quarter has become one of the most talked about coins in the numismatic community. Some versions of the 1981 Washington quarter are turning heads, raising eyebrows, and in extremely rare cases, raising bank balances. So, stick with me, because you just might have one of these hidden gems in your collection right now. Let's take a step back in time. The year is 1981. Ronald Reagan has just been sworn in as president. MTV is about to launch and change pop culture forever. And across the country, people are using quarters for payphones, arcade games, parking meters, you name it. It was a time when coins were simply a part of everyday life, not collectibles. But what nobody realized back then is that some of these coins, including the 1981 Washington quarter, would become incredibly valuable decades later. The Washington quarter, of course, has a legacy that stretches all the way back to 1932. It was introduced to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington. On the front, or the obverse, you see that familiar left-facing portrait of Washington, the word Liberty across the top, and the motto, "In God We Trust," stamped to the left. Beneath it is the year, 1981. Turn it over, and you're greeted by the iconic image of a bold eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, surrounded by olive branches, an image that symbolizes America's strength and desire for peace. It's a timeless design, one that stayed unchanged for generations. But the real story today isn't just about what's on the coin. It's about what makes some of these coins so special. Now here's the thing, most 1981 quarters are still only worth 25 cents. Millions were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But not all of them were created equal. Some rare versions of the 1981 quarter contain features that are incredibly hard to find, errors that only happen during a small portion of the minting process, or coins that have somehow been preserved in flawless condition for over 4 decades. So what exactly makes a 1981 Washington quarter valuable? Let's start with minting errors. One of the most desirable traits among collectors is the double die. This occurs when the coin design is imprinted twice by mistake, leaving a subtle doubling effect on the letters or numbers. Another error involves off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, often leaving part of the image cut off and the rest shifted. Then there are the rarer, no-mint mark varieties, where a coin expected to have a letter, like P for Philadelphia, or D for Denver, has none at all. Now imagine finding one of these errors on a coin that's been preserved in near-perfect condition. That's when the value skyrockets. The condition of the coin plays a massive role in its worth. Coins are graded on a scale, and those that fall into the mint state category, especially MS 65 or higher, can command serious prices. That means the coin is virtually untouched, with sharp, clean lines, strong luster, and no wear or damage. A 1981 quarter that's both rare in design and in flawless condition? That's the holy grail for collectors, but here's something even more fascinating: most people don't even know what they're looking for. These valuable coins could be sitting in old jars, stuck in coin albums from the 80s, or mixed in with your loose change from the store. And while millions of these quarters were used and discarded, only a tiny handful were preserved in pristine shape or struck with rare errors, and those few are worth a fortune. So, how do you check your 1981 quarters? Start by inspecting the mint mark. Then look closely at the text, especially, "In God We Trust," and the date. Is anything doubled? Off-center? Faded or misaligned? Use a magnifying glass if needed. Check the edges, the details in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. The clearer and more detailed the design, the better your chances, and don't worry, you don't need to be a seasoned expert to find one. Some of the most valuable coin discoveries were made by everyday people. A little curiosity, a bit of patience, and an eye for detail can go a long way. So now, the moment we've all been waiting for, among the rarest of the rare, one 1981 Washington quarter, featuring a unique mint error and graded in pristine mint state, stunned collectors when it appeared at auction. This coin, flawless in appearance and unmatched in rarity, fetched a price that seemed almost impossible for a simple quarter. That one single coin was sold for an incredible total of $72,000. That's right, $72,000. For a 25-cent piece. The kind of coin most of us have held in our hands 100 times, without ever realizing what it could be worth. So, the next time you're counting your change, or going through an old drawer, take a second look. That 1981 Washington quarter you almost gave away might just be a hidden treasure waiting to change your life. Today, we're peeling back the layers of one of the most familiar yet secretly fascinating coins in American pockets, the Washington quarter dollar from 1982. At first glance, it may seem like just another piece of everyday change, a coin you wouldn't think twice about spending on a soda or parking meter. But behind its common appearance, some of these 1982 quarters have become incredibly rare and extremely valuable. This isn't just another quarter story. This is the story of a coin born during a turning point in U.S. minting history, a coin that has since become a hidden gem for collectors, a mystery in the world of numismatics, and for a lucky few, a surprising source of real wealth. So, grab your magnifying glass, and let's take a deep dive into the history, features, and the shocking value of the 1982 Washington quarter dollar. Let's rewind to the early 1980s. The country was facing a challenging economy, and inflation had reached new heights. To cut costs, the U.S. Mint made a bold decision. 1982 would be one of the few years without any official uncirculated mint sets for the public. That may sound insignificant, but for coin collectors, it changed everything. Without mint sets, getting pristine, uncirculated coins directly from the mint became almost impossible. That means that high-quality examples of the 1982 quarter are extremely rare today, and that's just the beginning. The Washington quarter had been in circulation since 1932, designed originally to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. Its design is iconic. On the front, the proud, determined profile of America's first president, with the word Liberty above, and the motto, In God We Trust, off to the left. The year of minting, 1982, is boldly stamped below. Flip the coin, and there's the image of an eagle with wings spread, perched atop a bundle of arrows and framed by olive branches, a powerful symbol of readiness and peace. But even though millions of quarters were minted in 1982, only a very few have the characteristics that make them stand out as rare collector's items. And that's where things get interesting. Now let's talk about what makes these 1982 quarters potentially worth more than their weight in gold. Errors and condition. First up, the mint marks. Quarters in 1982 were minted in Philadelphia and Denver, marked by a tiny P or D on the coin's front side. But here's where things take a twist. Due to inconsistent minting techniques that year, some coins left the mint without a mint mark at all. A missing mint mark is not just an accident, it's a collector's dream. Next, let's talk about die errors, tiny mistakes made during the striking process that can result in double images, off-center designs, or even odd textures. Some 1982 quarters show doubling in the text or design elements, particularly in the words, In God We Trust, or the year, 1982. These double die quarters are rare and highly sought after. Even more elusive are the off-center strikes, where the image is visibly shifted. The rarer the error and the clearer the detail, the higher the value. But even if your quarter doesn't have an error, it can still be worth big money if it's in excellent condition. You see, since there were no uncirculated sets in 1982, most of these coins entered circulation immediately. That means most have scratches, wear, and tarnish. So finding a mint state quarter from 1982, one that looks like it was just printed yesterday, is incredibly rare. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS 65 or higher is considered top tier, and when combined with a rare error or unusual feature, the price collectors are willing to pay can rise rapidly. And let's not forget the material. By 1982, the US Mint was using a copper-nickel-clad composition instead of silver. While the metal content might not be impressive, the story and scarcity make all the difference. The real value comes from rarity, history, and condition. So how can you check if your 1982 quarter is a hidden gem? Start by examining the mint mark. Is it missing? Is it unusually faint or oddly shaped? Then, take a good look at the date and lettering under strong light. Can you spot any doubling or shadows? What about the condition? Look at the high points, Washington's hair, the eagle's feathers, the rims. Are they crisp and sharp, or dull and worn? You don't need fancy equipment, just a good eye, a bit of patience, and the curiosity to look closer. Some of the most valuable coin finds have come from people who were simply checking their pocket change or going through old jars of coins in their grandparents' homes, and now, here comes the moment you've been waiting for. Among the rarest and most perfect examples of the 1982 Washington quarter dollar, one coin shocked the coin collecting community when it came up for auction. It featured a striking mint error, was in absolutely flawless condition, and had been preserved for decades without a single sign of wear. This specific coin, with its near-mythical combination of rarity, quality, and uniqueness, was eventually sold for a breathtaking total of $70,000. That's right, $70,000. For one single quarter. It's hard to believe that something so small, something we use every day without a second thought, could hold so much hidden value. But that's the magic of coin collecting. You never know what treasures might be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone with a sharp eye and a little bit of luck. If this video inspired you to check your change drawer or dig through that old coin box in the attic, give us a like, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the bell so you never miss another video. We've got more incredible coin stories coming your way, and who knows, your next big discovery might be closer than you think. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep your eyes open, keep hunting, and happy collecting.